Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hello. How do you turn overwhelming loss and grief into a life that's full of purpose and hope and meaning? Our guest today has done exactly that. S.E. Tschritter is our guest today, and I'm thrilled to have her back on the show. I'm Kimberly Schafer, and this is the Persistence Payoff Show. Our guest today, Sam Tschritter, is a best-selling author. Her book, The Prodigal Son, made it to the top of the best-selling list. She has written and contributed to more than 40 books, including poetry, nonfiction, and fiction. She has also in her life faced extreme loss and grief and has found a way to not only work through that personally, but found a way to help other people find hope and meaning in their lives as they work through that same process. So please help me welcome to the show today, Sam Tschritter.
Kimberly, thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate this. This is great.
Thank you. It's great to see you and great to have you back on. Well, first of all, congratulations on your best-selling book. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And I know that you have a new book coming out, and I would love to talk about that a little bit later, but I would like to start by talking about the intersection of threads in our lives. So I'm always fascinated by this. So you are an author, you've written many books and collaborated on many books, and that's been a lifelong journey for you. You also went through extreme loss and grief, and those things have intersected to help both you get through that and also for you to find a way to help other people. And I just wonder if you can talk with us about how those two threads combining have impacted your life and how you found your way through it.
Absolutely. Well, I've always loved writing stories or telling stories. So in my early 20s, I used to write stories for fun. And people told me that normal people didn't write stories for fun. And so it was what I did. I was writing this novel, when I had first gotten married. And a couple years after I was working on this novel, I experienced my miscarriage. And I put down the novel, I put down the fiction, and wrote love letters to miscarriage moms because I wanted something that was real time. It's hard to explain, but when you're going through a loss like that, reading someone's story that wrote about it 10 years later, 15 years later, they had time to heal. They had time to grieve, to figure out what their lives are going to be like. Am I going to be a mom? Am I going to have children? And so I wanted something real time. So I paused and I wrote love letters to miscarriage moms. That's not the right one. It's a blue cover, miscarriage moms. Sorry. And that was, so the one that just went up on the screen was the original self-published version. And then 2 years later, it was actually 5 years later, it was picked up by a publisher and reproduced, and it was amazing. But I was able to reach out to thousands of women, and these women were messaging me and then writing in the reviews for the book. Thank you so much for writing this book. Thank you. Like, we feel like we have a friend walking through our grief with us. And that was when I realized, oh, I actually have the ability to articulate things in a way that other people can't. And it felt good to be able to voice there it is. Thank you so much. I had the ability to voice other people's pain and put words to their pain that they can't do otherwise.
Interesting. Well, first of all, Thank you for doing that, because I think that takes such courage to be vulnerable in the moment. It's easier 10 or 15 years down the road to kind of look back and you have a little bit of scar tissue, I suppose, for lack of a better word, from
Right.
your grief. But you wrote in the raw moments of being very, very vulnerable with that. So thank you. I'm sure that was felt by your readers and really helped them.
Yeah, that one was extremely cathartic to write in the moment because it started for me as a journal. I talking about my loss and trying to process my own grief. And so in essence, when you read through Love Letters to Miscarriage Moms, I am walking through the grief with you because I am walking through my own grief of loss in that process. And then the readers are doing the same thing. So we're kind of doing it at the same level at the same time, which is fun. And then there are letters from parents of loss to parents of loss. The very first version was just me and my story. And then when I published it with a traditional publisher, I was able to include stories about early infant loss and stillbirth and things like that, adoption, things that I don't personally have experience with. Other friends are like, I can share my story. I can talk about that. And I think it would be helpful. And so it's a very diverse book and as far as infant loss support. And I'm really proud of that.
Yes, absolutely. So going through a miscarriage is enough loss for a lifetime. But
Yes.
after that, you also went through additional loss and grief. And can you just walk us through that also?
Yes. So I experienced a tragedy that not many people experience, I don't think. My late husband got in a drunk driving accident and that he caused. And then we found stage 4 cancer as a result of the drunk driving accident because when he went to the hospital and they scanned him for internal bleeding and broken bones, they found stage 4 cancer. He lived 20 months, diagnosis to death. And in the middle there, because I'd already written Love Letters to Miscarriage Moms, he said, Sam, what are the chances I would be married to an author whose best work comes from wounds? I
Mhm.
want you to interview me and I want you to write my story. And so I have about 6 hours of audio of my late husband sharing his darkness with me about how he was bullied and then he became the bully and he started drug use and drug abuse and that turned into drug addiction. And then the whole line of relapse and grace and coming to love himself. And it's a powerful story. It took me 7 years to finish because it was so painful. There it is. I call that my soul stone because I had to jump to retrieve that book. But that's my opus, and it's beautiful. It's powerful. People are thanking me again for writing it. Oh my gosh, I haven't felt closer to God in 10 years than I have as reading this book. This is raw. It's authentic. So the people's responses to the book are very encouraging to me. That's something that they needed.
Yes, absolutely. And again, just as you did with writing about your miscarriage, although it may have taken you 7 years to get the book
Yeah.
out, you actually were doing the interview in real time. And so again, I'm sure that rawness comes right through on the pages. And was that process, even in the moment, somewhat healing for you and your husband to just have that retrospect, or was it more difficult in the moment?
We did not have time for marriage counseling because of everything going on. He was doing chemo at least once a week, sometimes twice a week. He had court ordered mandatory counseling, group therapy. And so that time for me to interview him and ask him questions, that time became very sacred. It became a time where we were talking through things and healing ourselves. So I would say that the interview process was incredibly healing for our marriage and for us. Writing it was incredibly difficult, whereas Love Letters to Miscarriage Moms was cathartic for me to write. The Prodigal Son, Crackhead to Jesus Freak cost me something. It cost me part of myself to write that because it was that that one's rough. There's domestic violence and there's drug use and just all sorts of things that are for real things that real people deal with. And I don't pull punches. And it was hard. It was really hard to write that. But for the sake of the reader, I wanted my reader to know, hey, if you've ever seen red and blue lights flashing outside your window and known that shame and embarrassment, you're not the only one that's experienced that. So that it's for the reader. The books are for the reader, I think. I think they should be, don't you?
Yes, I agree. I agree with that. And I think that perspective comes through in great books where it is written for the reader, and it's not, although there's some, of course, self-interest, there's introspection, but having that basis of this is for the reader to gain from, I think it really comes through on pages. So um, as you're talking, I'm thinking about, and I'm probably going to say this name wrong. There's a Japanese concept of kintsugi, where when pottery is broken and
Mm.
it's put back together, it's put back together with gold and silver and platinum in the cracks. And the goal is not to hide the cracks. The goal is to actually put it back together into the same shape, but it's forever different. And the cracks are highlighted where it broke. And I've always felt like that was such a powerful image for all of us. And and I'm thinking about that as you're talking about your story. And so I would love to hear more about, now that you've come through both, the love letters to miscarriage moms and prodigal son, and your life is now it's intact, but it looks different. And I wonder if you can talk with us about what your life looks like now and those cracks and how they are healed and showing.
Yeah, it does look different. So I actually remarried in 2023. My late husband passed away in 2019. I remarried in 2023. And sometimes it's hard because people say, oh, like even today I was meeting with other authors and they were saying, I've been married for 36 years. I've been married for 37 years. And I did the math. I would have been married for 23 years, 24 years if he had still been alive and we were still married. But God provided this beautiful man named Tim who has come into our family and he helped us heal.
Mm.
So that's what that looks like for us. It sort of protected our family in a way, just to have that other person to lean into. And so that has been amazing. And also, as far as healing, being able to go on shows like this and encourage other people about the grief that they're facing. You're not alone. If you feel like you can't function because you're so riddled with grief, that's normal. Not being able to think clearly is normal in grief. And being able to encourage people in their own grief processes makes everything worth it. It makes the cracks worth it. I often show my cracks first so that people know that they can talk to me about the things that they've gone through. When I say my late husband was arrested for drunk driving and fleeing police, there's not much they can say after that to shock me or that I would judge them for, because I've been there and I know what they're going through. And so showing my cracks first helps other people vocalize their own hurts and disappointments and then start the healing process. I think that when we finally are able to articulate and talk about the things that have hurt us, that's when healing starts to happen.
Yes. I so admire your willingness to share and be vulnerable with people. I think for so many of us, there can be an instinct, to sort of close up and like, I'm going to try to look all clean and shiny on the outside, regardless of what's happening on the inside. And so I really give you great credit for being willing to share all of that with people. And when you, like, what have you found to be some of the most effective tools that you can offer people to help them through grief and into their own healing?
Well, I wrote two journals. I've written two different journals. One was about infant loss, and the other one was a prayer journal for addiction. So if you have a loved one or family member who's addicted, you can read or purchase prayers against addiction, and go through that. And that is actually, the prayers in there are written by people affected by addiction. There's a former heroin addict, recovering alcoholic, myself as the spouse of an addict. And then my daughter actually wrote 3 of the prayers. So the child of an addict wrote 3 of the prayers in this Prayers Against Addiction book. And so it very much speaks to the issues that addicts go through because addicts wrote the prayers themselves. So that's really powerful. And then I'm really proud of my infant loss journal because I have all the prompts in the beginning and then empty pages for an index. So you choose the prompt that you want to write about, and then you put it, it's called Until the Day We Meet Again, a miscarriage journal. And you get to put the prompt in that you want to write about, because not everyone wants to write about the same thing on the same day at the same time. And so it's sort of choose your own adventure, choose your own grief healing process, I guess. And so those are 2 tools that I've used to help other people process their own grief, because those are things that would have helped me when I was walking through my own situations.
Yes. Oh, what a great idea for the journal. I love that, of like, pick what resonates with you in this moment,
Right.
to focus on. And that's a really powerful, I think. And so do you feel like you're writing now that I don't want to say that you're on the other side of the grief, because I'm sure that it's with you in some way all the time. But now that you're at this stage past it, or past the harshest moments of it, do you feel like your writing has changed as a result of that?
Oh, 100%. When my characters are going through a hard thing in the book, in the story, I know exactly how they would respond. And I know that they're going to make choices that might not even make sense to other people because they're grieving. And whereas before, I didn't have that grasp of it. So it brings my characters to life, and it helps the reader to deal with their own grief and their own loss by watching someone else work through it. I love using fiction as a tool to help other people. And I'm hoping that I wrote it so that when people read it, they enjoy the story, they enjoy the romance and the suspense, and they enjoy the story for itself, but they also receive healing for pieces if they are broken themselves.
Yes. Oh, beautiful. And is that part of your newest book? I believe you have a book coming out this fall, the Lakeshore Diaries. Yes. And can you talk with us about that and how this concept is woven into that?
The Lakeshore Secret comes out October 6th. It is available for pre-order on Kindle right now. Oh, I'll also say that The Prodigal Son is on Kindle Unlimited. So if any of your listeners or viewers have Kindle Unlimited, they can take a look at The Prodigal Son or sign up for my newsletter and get 3 chapters for free. But the Lakeshore Secret has some tragedy. The characters experience some things that are really, really hard. And I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to do spoiler alerts, but they're they have to face grief. They are faced with mortality. They are faced with their lives and what that looks like. And in the face of that, what is your character like? How are you going to respond? How do you heal? How do you move on from that brokenness? So all those themes are woven into the Lakeshore Secret.
Oh, very exciting. Well, and what is your process for writing a book like that? Like, do you have a vision board where you put Post-its and write all the pieces ahead of time, or how do you put a book like that together?
I've done it 2 different ways. I am a pantser at heart. So there are plotters and pantsers, and plotters write out the whole, like just the structure of the story and the outline and figure that out before they start writing. I just go in and start typically. I knew that I wanted to write a romantic suspense. I had this. So when I was faced with everything my husband was going through, I needed a few days to back off and breathe. Probably one of the smartest things I ever did when I was experiencing grief was step away from my family for 4 days. I took 4 days to write, to process, to think through my life without anyone telling me what I needed to think or what I needed to believe or what I needed to do next. And I retreated to a place we'd lived before, but I retreated to Pequot Lakes, Minnesota. And that story is in The Prodigal Son. Well, when I was writing The Lakeshore Secret, I had my character retreat to Pequot Lakes. So that part is actually a little bit autobiographical. And in the story, she was born there and raised there, and so that's a little bit different. That is not autobiographical. I did not grow up in Pequot Lakes, but it felt like a very natural place. It's Northwoods. There are pine trees and lakes and beautiful scenery, and it's very refreshing to the soul. And so she has to go back home to take care of her grandma and to figure some things out. And she realizes things that she left behind, as like her ex-boyfriend, for instance, still lives there and plays a part in trying to keep her safe and keep her alive. So,
Oh, fascinating. It sounds like a beautiful setting. Yes. So this show includes a focus on persistence, and I would love to know, for you, does the quality of persistence as you experience it, has that been the same working through your grief as the persistence that's required for your writing? Does that come from
I,
the same place?
I think so. It's taking one step forward. With my writing career, I make sure that I am doing at least one thing every day to promote myself or to step forward to write a certain word count to meet with someone. Whether or not I'm momming, so to speak, I try to do one thing to step forward. And I think with grief, it was the same way. With grief, you can't tell grief what to do. You can't force it into a box and say, I'm only going to take it out on this day, on this time. I let the grief come and I let those feelings come, but I was very persistent in letting the grief come and roll through me and then move forward, because I didn't want it to stay there and cause, like, get septic basically. I think grief can cause septic toxicity in our bodies and our hearts and our minds. And so persistence was letting the grief come and letting myself work through it, and then healing and continuing to step forward. And I don't want to stay here. I mean, we don't get to choose how long we're sad, but I knew that I wanted to be intentional about healing, whatever that could look like for me. And it's paid off, because I was focused on positivity and moving forward. And okay, like, that happened. I'm going to hurt. I'm going to cry. I spent that first Mother's Day after he passed away hiding behind my shed so my kids couldn't see me and weeping into a coffee mug. So it didn't look very pretty at all. The persistence, whatever that looked like, there's a holding pattern for a long time. But realizing that I was being intentional while allowing myself to grieve and then stepping forward into the healing, that was the intentional part that required the persistence.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Thank you. And what a great example for your kids, for them to see you and how you processed your grief must have helped them as well. And how have they been with this grief process?
It goes in waves for us. So my daughters were 8, 7, and 4 when he passed away. And they are 15, 14, and 11 right now. So it's different for them. And I don't bring it up a lot. We don't talk about dad died. But when they have a question for me, I try to answer it. I found my daughter going through her scrapbook of pictures with her dad recently, and she didn't tell me that she needed that or that she was doing that, but I kind of watch them sometimes, or they'll pull out one of his shirts and wear one of his shirts. And so it's still there. The sadness and the pain is still there. But like I said, and that's where Tim comes in, my current husband, he heals us and he brings us together. So when we go out in public, we look like a whole family. It's not, it just feels different to me. So.
Oh, he sounds like a wonderful man. Yes. Yes. Now, as I understand, you have a series, a young adult book series that you would like to work on, at least. I don't know if you've started them or not. And can you talk with us about that as well, please?
Right. So the Athenian Chronicles are a dream of mine. And it's
Mhm.
hard because I wrote about grief and now I'm writing romantic suspense and I have this young adult fantasy series dream and it's all different audiences. So I'm not quite sure how or where to publish this. But the idea came from honestly, from love letters to miscarriage moms and working through my infant loss grief, I have three daughters on heaven. I have three daughters on earth, and I have three babies in heaven. And so the concept came like there are six siblings, and what if they could meet together and they had to save the world? And so the Athenian Chronicles is very Narnian esque in that there's a portal between worlds, and there are some of the siblings are on one side and some of the siblings are on the other. And there's six books and there are six kids, so each book is written from a different child's point of view, and they they have to save the world. That's that's what happens.
Oh my gosh, I love that concept. I really love that.
There are several. I have three and a half ish written. One's edited well, the other is not edited well. So there, it's there. I just you can only publish so many books at one time. So I have way more written than I have published, and I'm looking forward to starting to push those out into the world.
Yes. Oh my gosh, it's a really beautiful, powerful theme there. And so with a series like that, would you wait for them all to be done and try to publish them all at once, or would you
I
release the
think
one that's
so.
well edited and get that out while
You're
you
so smart. Yes, I want to write all of them and I want all the book covers designed at the same time. You've seen the spines where they match for the series.
Mhm.
So I want to do something like that where it's a continual photo for the spine. And I won't be able to do that unless I write all of them ahead of time. And then if I write all of them at once and then publish them, I can release them 2 months apart. So people can read through the first one, then they can buy the second and the third. So that's my plan, but I have to finish writing, finish editing, and I'm kind of in this romantic suspense world right now. And so there's just a lot. Like I said, I have a lot more written than I have published, and I'm excited to start pushing that out.
Yes, absolutely. I'm getting the feeling it sounds like writing is just part of your DNA. It's not something that you say, okay, now I've got to write, but it's just part of you.
I love it. I write for fun, and most people don't do that. I enjoy it. I fall in love with my characters. I've written two novels this year, and they're only 55,000 words, so they're like the shorter airport novel type books. But I wrote two books in 1 year, and so I love what I do. I love this.
Yes, it shows. I can see that. And have you ever had writer's block and just sat down to write and nothing comes?
I usually get that for a scene. I know what needs to happen next, and I can't get my characters to go where I need them to go. It's almost like fighting with teenagers. Uh, so I go out and I garden when that happens, and I go pull weeds, and I think through the plot and what has to happen. And I actually did that yesterday because I couldn't figure out what happened next. And I was like, oh, she calls her brother and she has a conversation with her brother. And then I thought through the conversation with her brother and I ran inside and typed it all out before I could forget it.
Wow. And what a great metaphor. I mean, gardening, you're helping things grow literally, and you're pulling out the weeds and getting the bed ready. And it just sounds so connected to writing, where you're
Yeah, it's
growing your
amazing.
story. Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that. Now, when you're working, like you were saying, right now you're in the romantic mystery genre. So, do
Mhm.
you find for yourself it's easier to just stick with one genre in the moment and not go back and forth? Would you work on a fantasy book, a fantasy fiction while you're working on a romantic book?
I don't think so. I think my headspace is very much in guns and bombs and terrible things happening to people. And so the fantasy fiction is set like older times before there are weapons like that around. And so it's two different brain space. It's like picking up two different books to read them. Like you wouldn't read a romantic suspense and a fantasy fiction at the
Mhm.
same time. You know, like that's exactly what it feels like. Like when I'm writing and I'm in my writing brain and my kids come talk to me, it feels like I've been interrupted from reading a book. So if you can imagine, someone interrupts you and you read the same paragraph 3 times, that's exactly how it feels when you're writing the book and you're trying to type that paragraph or that page and they keep interrupting the story that's in your head.
Yes. Oh, interesting. And what would your advice be to somebody who's a writer and perhaps also a perfectionist? So they may get stuck on, oh, I don't have the perfect opening line, or I wrote this and it doesn't feel perfect. And how do you advise people to just get through that and get it on the page?
You cannot be a perfectionist if you're a writer. You can't,
Mhm.
because you would never get the sentences written.
Mhm.
Editing is a different side of the brain than the creative side and the writing side of the brain. And so you're putting up roadblocks in front of yourself every time you edit a sentence. So I write and I there are typos everywhere. There's all sorts of craziness that's happening, but I just write. I just let myself be creative and then I go back and edit. So the most important part of writing a story is writing the story, is getting the story out. And if you keep stopping yourself, you're stopping your creative process. You're not just editing, you're stopping your creative process. So I would encourage perfectionists to be okay with not enjoying what they're writing and just write it to see
Mhm.
what happens at the end of it and then go back and read it at the end.
Yes, that's really great advice. That's great advice, and I think also for life in general, for people who are perfectionists, just get it out there. And so
Yes.
when you look ahead, would you say that your series of 6 books is your next project, or do you have something else in the queue before or after that?
I have I have the Lakeshore Secret. Book 2 is written, so I just need to edit it and get a cover for it. And then I have book 3 in my head. I have another romantic suspense series that I was working on because I was submitting that to a publisher and that didn't work out. The
Mhm.
publishing company doesn't want that one, but which is fine. It's nothing is wasted, so I'm going to publish that one myself. So it's there's just a lot there's a lot there. I don't know what to do. Maybe you tell me. I don't
Yes.
I think I need to finish this romantic suspense situation first and then start working on the young adult fantasy fiction.
On the next
So,
one, yes. It's really I marvel at your productivity. I think that's fantastic. And do you feel moving forward when you look ahead at your books, do you anticipate that grief and loss will weave itself into most of the stories?
100%. I
Mhm.
actually had a beta reader for one of my romantic suspense books, and she said, "You can tell that you've experienced something really traumatic because your characters are working through this and you face it really well." And she complimented how I handled the grief within the book. So that was really inspiring to me.
Yes. Yes. And what advice would you give if someone is going through a moment right now of severe loss and grief? What would you say to them about moving forward?
Buckle up. Um, I would say it's hard, but everything you're feeling is normal. And the best thing you can do is let the grief come, because if people try to deaden it with coping mechanisms, the grief will still be there when they wake up and it'll be even bigger. It'll be harder to deal with.
Mm.
So I would say let the grief come. Don't grab too tightly to anything. I was trying to make certain relationships work. I actually had failed relationships after I lost my husband. I'm not talking about dating relationships. I'm talking about friendships.
Mhm.
Friends that promised they would be there for me or not, or they couldn't understand the new me. They couldn't handle my grief. They couldn't handle who I was at that point. And so we parted ways, and it was nothing intentional, just separated. And so I would say let the grief come and know that you are forming a new and beautiful identity from who you are, and part of what you were will carry with you, and something stronger is going to come out of that fire. And so your life is going to look different on the other side. And you're not alone. You're not alone. There are other people who've had to deal with what you're dealing with. And I'm so sorry for what you're going through.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that. Yes. Well, and I'm very sorry about the losses that you've experienced. So I really appreciate your vulnerability and your sharing what you went through. And before we close out, would you please let people know how they can connect with you? How can they find your writings and your books and your work?
Absolutely. I'd love that. So if you go to loveunedited.com, that's what you see on the screen right now, loveunedited.com. And there's a Let's Connect button right there at the top. So you can purchase the books. You can join the newsletter, like I said, for 3 free chapters of The Prodigal Son. There are some recipes when you sign up. There's all sorts of freebies because I have different people who join my newsletter. So you can get those freebies when you sign up for the newsletter. I have several YouTube channels that you can subscribe to. You can join me over on Instagram. Whatever you want. If you want to connect with me, I would love to see you there. And I'm really grateful for this opportunity to talk to your viewers.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this. And best wishes for the release of the Lakeshore Secret.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Kimberly. Thanks.
Thank you. Wow. What a testament to persistence and rawness and being willing to be vulnerable and share that not only with herself, but with the rest of us. So I'm so grateful to have had Sam on today. So please check out her website and her past books and her upcoming book, The Lakeshore Secret. We're here every other week. You can reach me through my website, ringthing.com. My email is kimberly@ringthing.com. And I would love to hear your thoughts about the show, any questions you have, any suggestions for guests. And please subscribe to our YouTube channels, USA Global TV and Radio and the Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck channel. So we would love to have you join us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to Sam Tschritter for being here today and to Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck for the opportunity. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Every day, we wake up knowing what we should do. We know we should take better care of ourselves. We know we should have the difficult conversation. We know we should stop making excuses. We know we should invest in our future. We also know we should take the first step. So why don't we? It's not because we aren't smart enough. It's not because we don't have enough information. And it's certainly not because we don't care. We live in a world overflowing with knowledge. Books, podcasts, videos, courses, experts, even artificial intelligence. We have more access to information than any generation before us. Yet so many of us are still waiting for the right time, waiting to feel ready, waiting until tomorrow. But tomorrow becomes next week becomes next year, and before you know it, another opportunity has passed us by. The truth is, knowing has never been the finish line. It's only the starting line. Our lives don't change because we know more. Our businesses don't grow because we know more. Our relationships don't improve because we know more. And our health doesn't transform because we know more. Everything changes when we act. When we choose courage over comfort, progress over perfection, action over intention. The question isn't, what else do we need to know? The question is, what are we going to do with what we already know? Stop. Why Knowing Isn't Enough by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Because knowing opens the door. Action changes your life. Available September 2026.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.